So in the Melacha of the Mishkan, one of the most important ones that was mentioned is Mekhatekh, cutting, and it was specifically written in that way about the skins and the different linen and other garments that were placed on top of the Mishkan. But of course, it was also used for the gold and the silver and the wood and the copper. Everything had to be very exact and very precise. And they used all the things that they got as donation. And basically, Moshe said, "This is how Hashem said it should be divided and should be prepared by the people who were going to do the artwork. They were called artisans, and so the Melacha Mechatech is instrumental in transforming raw material into houses, implements, clothing, etc. For example, if one wishes to make leather clothing, they must first cut the leather to the right size. If one wishes to build a house, they must cut the stones, metal, and panels to the right size. And if one wishes to install a window, they must cut the glass to the right size. And of course, during the time of the Mishkan, there was no glass, but I think that's the most impressive because you have to use a diamond in order to cut glass to the exact size. And I don't have any experience with it, but one of my great uncles did a lot of colored glass, and we still have his shofar that he made from color glass, and so it's just beautiful. And I don't know if he did exact measures or just inspired, but that's what Mechatech is about. So the general principle is that one who cuts something to a specific size on Shabbat transgresses the Torah prohibition of Mechatech. Similarly, it is forbidden by Torah to cut off the soft part of feathers, what we call down feathers, in order um, to make pillows and blankets, since one must cut precisely between the hard and soft sections. That's mentioned already in the Gemara and Shabbat. This is the distinction between Mechatech and Korea. The primary purpose of Korea tearing is to separate two distinct parts, whereas the primary purpose of Mechatech is to cut with precision in order to create something new. And we said that Korea, where it's wasting, is permitted in many different cases on Shabbat because we don't want what we tore off. So that's why Mechatech is so much more precise. The Melacha Mechatech does not apply to foods. Therefore, one may cut a cake into equal-sized pieces. Similarly, one may cut grooves into an orange in order to peel it. Pills and suppositories used by sick people are also considered food for this purpose and may be cut where scored. And so the big leap, in my opinion, about modern halacha is that until about 100 years ago, we were not allowed to cut any kind of pills or any kind of suppositories or anything else related to medicine because there's a gzera of shchikat samemanim that you might come to grinding, which we talked about in the preparation of food. We said that grinding applies also to other things that aren't food. So the fact that halacha now recognizes that the pharmaceutical companies make them with different cuts. That way you can snap half if the doctor prescribes only a half is amazing. Um, we had a pill cutter that we had to use to cut something to four. There was only a line in the middle for two, so the two would be allowed on Shabbat, but the four is not because of that same idea of shchikat samemanim, of grinding. So I think it's just amazing that we recognizing halacha that mechatech does not apply to something that's already sort of pre-cut. Items that animals would consume are considered food and thus not subject to mechatech. Therefore, one may use a knife to cut straw or hay to use as a toothpick. However, one may not fashion a toothpick from hard wood, since it is inedible to animals. Cutting it to size constitutes mechatech. If by means of a tool one violates a Torah prohibition, and if by hand, which is considered a shinui, a rabbinic prohibition. So the reason why shinui is forbidden is because you really don't have animals who eat hardwood. So one may take fragrant branches of hardwood that were harvested before Shabbat and trim or rub them so that their aroma spreads. And one may also break them into smaller pieces so that more people can smell them. And the same thing with vegetables. The vegetables does not fall under the prohibition of Mekhatekh or of Tochen, of grinding, because we said that as long as you do it slightly different from what you do during the week. So Israeli salad, for example, the cucumbers are cut very, very small. And so you just have to do it slightly bigger than what you do during the week. One may also break them into, even though the branches are hard and animals would not eat them, one may break them since the size of the pieces does not matter. One may only do so on condition that they are broken by hand. If he uses a tool, we are concerned that he will forget and fashion a toothpick, thus transgressing Torah law. So the one thing that I think is actually practical in terms of these herbs for smelling is on Yom Kippur, which is called the Shabbat Shabbaton. A lot of people use all kinds of things to refresh their smell and maybe even their mouth. Um, but in terms, I know that we're not supposed to chew things on Shabbat on Yom Kippur, but if you have mint leaves instead of the extract should not be put on cloth because you'll be soaking and you might squeeze it. So that's why fresh herbs should be used. And again, it's the way that we use them. As long as we're not doing it for a different purpose. But for the purpose of Shabbat and Yom Kippur, I believe that is allowed, and we'll stop here.